I would regard setting up a business as a process. And as is the case with any process, there's a before, a during, and an after. The best, truest place for the business plan to be introduced is in the before piece. So it's very important because it sets the tone for everything else that will follow. For a restaurateur or anyone setting up a coffee shop or a business venture, it is a document that you will bring underarm with you to a lender. Any lender will want to be walked through the document, to become familiar with your organization, and ultimately to know where the repayment capacity is. So it will disclose sales targets, revenue projections, forecasts, and it will do cash flows that will give the lender a fair indication of the feasibility, the viability of this organization and their repayment capacity. The key thing is to remember that it's not just one chunk of information. If you present it as one document that isn't broken down into appropriate sections, modules, headings, it's going to be an awful difficult document to write, an awful difficult document to navigate. So it needs to be broken down into bite-sized pieces. Typically, if I'm reading a client's business plan, I would have expectations of a particular flow and some particular headings. Typically, it's going to start with an executive statement or an executive summary. That's going to then flow into a business summary, market analysis, projections, always an expectation to see financial projections. And then obviously, if it is a startup, you need to see the costs associated, the sources of potential funding, and the reports. And by reports, I mean typically, the forecasted cash flow, profit and loss, and financial supporting documents. One of the key things a business plan will do is a reality check. It'll take the pulse and it'll give the owner an opportunity to reflect on self and proposition. So you mentioned the SWOT analysis. Typically looks in and looks out. So the strengths and the weaknesses are of the individual and their organization. Typically they relate to the competencies. So what skills and competencies do they have? What sort of resources and funding do they have? Classically, their strengths and weaknesses. Looks externally to the marketplace where they're going to be trading, and that will look at opportunities and threats. So opportunities in the catchment area. Is there another provider? Are they new to market? Is there a demand that isn't currently being serviced? What are the threats? Who else is doing this? If this does take off, who are the new market entrants likely to be? If somebody else sees that there's an ability to generate revenue from this and there's low barriers to entry, well, they may very well copycat or me too into your marketplace after you.